to another thrilling episode of Land Films. I'm Jonathan Jacobson, and I'll be taking you into the wonderful world of the North Sanitary Landfill. Located in Dayton, Ohio, this Superfund site is extremely dangerous. It was once a gravel quarry and is now a dumping ground for refuse and waste, and endangers the lives of 5,000 people that live within a mile of its location.
A Superfund site is a location where the level of pollutants are so high that direct, long-term government activity is required to clean up the area. The Valleycrest Landfill, or North Sanitary Landfill, has been on the National Priorities List since 1994 for toxic amounts of methane, lead, and volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. To make matters worse, these toxic wastes are situated just above a federally designated sole source aquifer, the singular source of water for the region.
Now let's learn a little about the history of the North Sanitary Landfill.
The North Sanitary Landfill began as a gravel quarry in 1935, owned by the Keystone Gravel Company. It was around the 1970s when the land had accumulated so much waste that it became a functioning landfill. The site accepted waste up until 1989. But because the site was never intended to be a landfill, there was no geothermal liner on top of the land to prevent waste leakage into the ground. This made the landfill very problematic, as the toxins spread into the gravel and soil in the region. Before long, leachate was discovered in the aquifer in 1985, and in 1986, the EPA got involved. After investigations revealed that the site was indeed volatile and dangerous, the EPA passed a motion to declare the landfill a Superfund site.
In 2002, a citizens group hired Professor Peter Townsend to advise for cleanup on the landfill. We were able to get in contact with him and ask him a few questions about the nature of his job.
Yeah, well, so they dumped barrels into a gravel pit. And the gravel pit was really dug right into the aquifer. And when they were putting the barrels in, they actually shot holes in the barrels and then drove bulldozers over the top to flatten the barrels. And there was undoubtedly a huge contaminant plume, but by the time they really started examining it, it was still a mess, but most of the stuff had gone on downstream or been sucked into the Dayton well field. So they dug up all the barrels and associated and sucked up as much of the contaminants as they could, the stuff that was left over there. They then dug out the gravel and piled it in piles with pipes, plastic PVC pipes with holes in them under the piles. Then they pumped air through the pipes, and the air then filtered out around the gravel and basically sucked out the contaminants into the atmosphere. Now, atmospheric contamination regulations are very much looser than groundwater. Yeah. And so it's perfectly legal to take contaminated aquifer materials and just blow the stuff into the atmosphere. Oh. So they pumped air through until the gravel no longer had contamination in it, and then they put the gravel back in the ground, where the contaminant levels in the gravel were low enough so that they could put it back.
The fact that toxic waste has been dumped in such a careless fashion is shocking and quite disconcerting, but it's especially shocking because this site is in such close proximity with hundreds of homes. Everyone living near this site is in danger of coming in contact with this waste, and they don't even know it. This made us wonder, if they live so close to the site without their knowledge, then how much do people really know about Superfund sites, the EPA, and the harmful effects of toxic waste? We decided to interview a student at Wittenberg University, Casey Luther, to see how much he knew of the problems plaguing the North Sanitary Landfill.
A couple questions for you today. To start us off, what are VOCs, or volatile organic compounds?
Not really sure. I would guess like greenhouse gases maybe.
Okay. What is methane?
Methane is a greenhouse gas.
Right. And what is lead?
Lead is a toxic metal.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a little more information on the three. Lead is a natural occurring element that actually is hazardous to humans, whether it's ingested or touched. Methane is a natural occurring gas, but is extremely flammable. And volatile organic compounds are different kinds of elements that are dangerous to human exposure. Would you be concerned if your drinking water had lead in it?
I definitely would.
Yeah.
Lead poisoning is not good.
It certainly isn't. Where would you receive your water from then?
If it's anything like Flint, Michigan, I'd have to get like bottled water, which is not ideal.
Okay. Casey, are you outside often?
Yeah, I like to go camping a lot.
So through the same way that lead can get into water and you can be exposed through drinking it, VOCs and methane can get into soil, and it's just as easy through actual contact with the soil. Do you think that this would concern you if you found these things in soil at your residence?
Yeah, that definitely does not sound like.
What would you try to do to fix this issue?
Well, I would try to contact like my local government and try to get them to take up the issue, as well as like seeing how we manage waste in the area. I don't know.
Okay. You ever heard of a Superfund site before?
No.
Okay. So if you had to guess, what would you think a Superfund site would be?
Tossing the topic of the conversation aside, it sounds like a cool place. I don't know.
Now that you know what a Superfund site actually is, what do you think about it?
It does not sound nearly as fun.
Not as fun.
Also very unsafe for the environment.
Casey, did you know that in the state of Ohio alone, there are 10 Superfund sites?
No, that sounds like a lot. It's probably really bad for the environment.
What do you think you can do to help prevent the 11th Superfund site in Ohio?
Kind of raise awareness about what they are in like my community. Once again, try to like contact the local government or state government to like get some laws passed to try to prevent any growth.
After interviewing Mr. Luther, it became apparent to us at Landfilms that people have not been properly informed of the EPA and their efforts with Superfund sites. It is for this reason that support for remedial efforts is scarce, and why the voices in support of protecting the environment are so rarely heard. It is important that we spread the news of modern events regarding our environment and keep everyone up to date if we are to prevent another site like the North Sanitary Landfill from ever happening again. It is imperative that we achieve environmental justice, for there is no other planet Earth. Thank you for joining us today at Landfilms.